Welcome everybody, we are back here for GSR. It is Tier 1, the 8th season of Tier 1, and it is round number 9 of the season. We are just past the halfway point, and it is time to enjoy some racing at Spa-Francorchamps, the Belgian Grand Prix. I'm Ryan Ocon31, and today I am joined by GSR Thrasher. Welcome, Thrasher.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Alright, so, how are you doing, actually?
Oh, I just got done commentating the Tier 2 race about 45 minutes ago. Um, it was a interesting race to say the least. Started out dry, then got wet. I started about lap 8. And then there were some drivers who didn't know if they wanted to go on the inners or if they wanted to go on the wets. But it was just a mess of a strategy, but it turned out to be a great finish. With Vapor JS taking the win in front of Wingo by only a couple of tenths, and then Lando Norris running out the podium.
Yeah, so I mean, since you spoke about Tier 2, I raced in the race because of poor attendance. As we see again today, I ended up getting 5th in that race. And that actually, you spoke about Wingo, Vapor, and even Lando. Those are championship contenders, and this is something that will help Mercedes and the constructors now with more points for them. So that's a good help for me. But Tier 3, it was a very interesting way with the strategy. It looked like when it started, when it stopped raining, it looked like mediums was the way to go. But the track never got dry enough to the point where it was dry tires until about 5 or 6 laps later, which made it confusing on the strategy, which ended up screwing my race over, Riles' race over, even Communist's at some point. And as we see, that's Brugor gun into the wall up a Rouge. But it ended up screwing our races over, or at least a chance at something that would have been better at the time. But a lot of stuff was happening, came to the dry period. So for me, I ended up, as that's Brugor gone out of the session, the first driver out of the session, as we were just on board with him. But no, as I was saying, yeah, with the Tier 3 race, the strategy became different when it became fully dry with the last safety car that came out. And Communist had a chance at the front, Shot had a chance at the front, all battling for the lead when it was the first lap of the safety car restart. Then those two ended up colliding, and that put a chance for me and Alpha Sparks, myself and Alpha Sparks, to have a chance in battle for the win. Riles was up there, he got the podium. I ended up finishing second, just short of the win. Alpha Sparks taking his first GSR win. Not his first start, by the way. So, well, not his first season that he started in, too. If you can invite Louis back to the session, that'd be good. But today, Thrasher, let's go over some of the drivers making their first starts. Rossi's returning as reserve. He's in the Red Bull. Rain F1, is this his first start, Thrasher?
No.
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 So explain with that and continue with the rest, because I think there are a couple more people making their first starts.
Yeah.
By the way, Nosman from Tier 2 as well.
Yeah, hold on, let me finish. I'm just finishing up inviting back. Alright, so, to finish um, over what you were talking about. So, this is not Rain's first start. Rain F1 was also known as TTM Rain.
Okay.
This is not his first start. Jack I Mac making his return back to GSR. Been a couple weeks since we've seen Jack I Mac. Turner, who missed last week. Turner is back here this week. Who else are we? I think that's it. You mentioned Nosman. You meant Allied Squire making his return. Unless he was here last week, I don't remember.
He might have been, but I think he was as a reserve. And Thrasher, I think there is something up with your mic. You might need to unplug it and plug it back in. And from what Sam said. Let's see. Does that fix what Sam was talking about? It might be mine. I need to change mine
It
maybe.
is
Hold on.
yours.
Let me just fix that. Yeah. I thought it was yours because it was during
Of
when you
course
were
you thought
talking.
it was
Hold on.
mine.
Hey, well, I don't know. You never know. Alright, Thrasher, so continue to go over
Alright.
results from last week, points, combined, and constructors.
Yep. Alrighty. So, let's go over the race results from last week. So, absolutely nobody. With Jacob E66 running up P2 and Caterpillar rounding out the podium in P3. We had C. Bowers in 4th, Black Raw 5th, Brute Gorgon 6th, Allied Squire 7th, Bad of One Opinion 8, Wekaz 9, and Cameron rounding out the points. Speaking of points, let's go check the point standings. Again, absolutely no one's surprised. Jab leading the points by 70. Hold on, let me make sure I do this right. 79 points, I believe. Wait, no, that's not right. 63, 76, my bad. 76 points. Jab has a 76 point lead over C. Bowers in P2. Rogue Caterpillar, who is 90 points back in P3. 100 points back is Jacob in P4. And Sam running at the top 5. And he is 116 points back. So, constructors, we'll look at that. McLaren holds a 80 point lead. Nope, 70 point lead over Red Bull.
You're gonna need to invite me back to the session. I'm trying to fix something with the stream. I know there's an annoying noise that Sam the Neck keeps talking to me about. It's not even our mics. I don't even know what's going on.
Oh shoot, I accidentally. Hold on.
What?
I meant to invite Louie. Louie, I hit the wrong thing. I meant to invite you to the game, not to the party.
So, yeah, invite me back to the session.
Alright.
It's not making the noise anymore. What? Okay, that's actually so weird. I've never had that happen at all. And that noise is gone. What? What? That's crazy. Wow, that's crazy. That Oh my god. Wow, it wasn't even any of our mics, Thrasher. It wasn't any of us. I think it was just something with the session. Wow. Oh my god. Let's find out. What were you on? Constructors, combined? What were you on?
I was on constructors until you interrupted me.
I
Alright,
apologize.
so
I was really annoyed from the
Red Bull.
session.
So McLaren with a 70 point lead over Red Bull is in second place. Williams is 22 points behind Red Bull, but is 92 points back. I want to make sure. Yeah, 92 points back. Williams is, and that's the top 3. let's go to combined constructors. Combined constructors before this week goes as follows. So, McLaren leads by 78 points. McLaren leads over Mercedes. And then another 33 points back to Williams. You got Red Bull in 4th, Aston Martin 5th, Ferrari 6th, Alfa Romeo 7, AlphaTauri 8, Alpine 9, and Haas rounding up.
Now, you mentioned AlphaTauri ninth, and you got to remember, last week AlphaTauri scored points for the first time with Brute. Brute's first points of the season, so that'll be something we'll be focusing on today. You know, is he going to be able to repeat that? We only have 13 drivers in this race, so we will find out what difference people are maybe able to make in a smaller field. You know, what difference will they be able to make? Jab is about to start a lap right now. Let's go on board and watch Jab in the wet conditions here. What is the Tier 1 champion able to do? Here we go into turn. We got to break about at the 100-meter board. Go to the curb on the inside, clip that, and be able to get the exit that he wants to. Half throttle, then out full throttle. You got to be careful with that. Revving up. I mean, if I was Jab, I would have revved up a little, shifted up a little bit early. Now you're going to have to let off just a little bit through a Rouge and a Radeon there just to get the perfect entry and exit up the hill. Now down to what would be the DRS straight, but with the rain, it's not going to be any sort of DRS anytime soon. We have the end of Sector 1. What is Jab able to do compared to his personal best? 5 tenths better? This is 3 tenths better. Maybe I'll flex in the track. That's either McLaren and the Ferrari all near each other in this second sector. Now Jab through that section of the track, clipping the curbs and not able to go too wide. Now right here, that's where you want to break the earliest on any part of the track, any part of the sections. That's where you want to break the earliest. Clip the curb, clip the outside curb, inside curb, now outside curb. Don't lose the rear there. Don't get on the gas too early because you'll end up going for a spin. I've seen many people do that. Clip that curb, shift down to 6th. Yeah, that curb you want to be careful clipping, though. That's the thing. You don't want to clip that curb and unsettle your car. Now, Rain F1 goes to the top, and it is getting a little bit drier in this session, as you can tell, which is going to have the pace of the drivers improve. Now, you don't want to clip the inside curb, outside curb. You want to clip and use as much of the track as possible. Inside curb, outside curb. Oh, he doesn't clip it that time. That's where he lost a little bit of the time, but 2 seconds better. Jab is having to adapt to the conditions getting even better, and possibly will go fastest here if he's able to set up the 3rd sector with the track evolution to the best. Now, right here, depending on what you want to do, you may want to let off just a little bit. Jab going full throttle. In the tier 3 and tier 2 race there, you had to let off a little bit. Now on the 100-meter board, braking there, clips the inside curb just a little bit, inside curb again just a little bit, and coming to the line. What will that be for Jab? It will be 2nd place, front row. Now, this is the end of the session though, and this is where the drivers will be able to improve their laps. This is where the track evolution matters the most. We saw Rain F1 improve his time to where he was 3 seconds faster than the next car. Jab was able to put it on the front row, only 7 tenths behind. Now, the first car we will have come to the line and complete a lap will be Rev Caterpillar. In the first sector, compared to his time, he's only 7 tenths up. So we reach the end of the 2nd sector, he's definitely going to be more up unless he's made some mistakes. 2 seconds up, purple sector 2. Now that is definitely a sign of things to come in this session, but he's 5 seconds off of pole. How much of a difference will this make into Sector 3? And he's going to let off here at all? No, full throttle completely. I'm surprised they would have not tried to shift down to 7th at any point on the lap, but the track is getting better. Locking up there at the chicane. Now, as we enter the final corners of the bus stop chicane, coming to the start-finish line, Rev Caterpillar, is this going to be front row ahead of Jab? No, it's just behind Jab, just by 2 tenths. And here comes the Mercedes of Rain F1. Rain F1, is he going to be able to improve his time? No, I think he's starting a lap. Next is the Alpine, or no, it's the Williams of C. Bowers, who's going to go to pole, a 10th faster. Next is the Aston Martin. That is bad F1 opinions. Can he go to the top? No, the 2nd row. Turner, ahead of his teammate. He goes to the 2nd row too. Jab is the next driver to cross the line. He's invalidated his time. He was 93 thousandths up. Now he's going to set himself up for a final lap. Behind that is the Mercedes of Jack, who's up by 2 seconds on his time. Goes a little bit wide entering the chicane, and a little bit of a weirder entry than normal. A little bit unusual to set himself up to the line. Where will the Mercedes driver go? Up to 7th, but he will get one final lap in. Red Bull. That is the Red Bull. That's TTM Rossi starting a lap. Locking up into turn 1, by the way. Going a bit wide. Thrasher, these last laps are very crucial. The Red Bull of Caterpillar, that is, was in a section of yellow flags. What are these guys going to have to do to be able to beat Pole now?
They're just going to have to concentrate. There's nothing else. You know, it's on your own power. Caterpillar 3/10 up in the second sector, but invalidates. And just, oh my.
The track is evolving, so this section is very important for all these drivers. Jack, a 10th up in the first sector. 4/10 up for TTM Rain in the second sector, and he's coming to the start-finish line now in this fast section of Blanchimont. He has to make sure that he can keep going in the straight direction and not look up into the chicane or anything. As he enters the final chicane for the final time, he was on pole. He got it stolen by Seabowers. Is he going to be able to retake pole? Yes, he is. 3/10 faster. Now he's got to be worried about the Aston Martin of Bad F1 Opinions, who looked like he was improving as we enter the final chicane.
Choked.
Jab is invalid. He will only start a best of 5th. Bad F1 Opinions enters the final corner and comes to the line. Cannot improve. Nossman up to 8th. Jab is only going to start 5th. While Turner is only going to start 3rd for McLaren. See, Bowers is off. The only person who could say something about pole will be Jack or Rossi, and Rossi's 3 seconds up. Jack, 2/10 up into the final bus stop chicane. What can he do? Can he go to the top 6? Can he go even faster? He can only go 5th, but he's ahead of Jab. Purple sector 3. Rossi comes to the start-finish line. Rossi only goes 8th. It's going to be Rain F1 Opinion. Or not Rain F1 Opinion. Rain F1 on pole. I kind of put Bad F1 Opinion and him together, but it's going to be Rain F1 Opinion on pole. And Jab could only manage 6th.
Rain F1 Opinion, everybody.
That's a new one. Oh, boy. It is a 3/10 gap for pole position between him and Seabowers. Seabowers, he took pole over. And then it's Turner. Turner returning. 7/10 behind, but ahead of his teammate by about 5. It's Rain F1, Seabowers, Turner, Bad F1 Opinion, and Jack running out the top 5. That is 4 different teams, though, in the top 4, which it will be an interesting thing to watch out for in the combined constructors and the constructors itself, and what these guys will have to play for. Next is Jab and the McLaren, only in 6th. Next is the Red Bull of Rev Caterpillar, TTM Rossi, Nossman, and Black Raw rounding out the top 10. Black Raw set his lap in wets, and the rest of the drivers who were in the session did not set a time here. So it will only be 13 drivers starting this Grand Prix Thrasher, but that means 3 people won't score points, and there's a likely possibility that the way this outcome could be interesting, considering it could be a dry race unless there is rain toward the end. Thrasher, what are your final thoughts heading into the start of this race? I've got to ask, because it is a dry race, what tires do these guys go with on a race like this, especially if it will rain at some point eventually with the clouds forming?
I don't know. It all depends. We might see some guys go mediums, some guys go softs. I think we'll get a mixed bag here.
Ooh. Okay.
And Bad F1 Opinion was the only one to go on the mediums.
So now it's time to start picking our favorites. Thrasher, we can kind of balance things out here because there's 13 drivers in this race, meaning that we'll be able to have 3 picks able to do, especially with how long of a track this is. First off, I'm going to go with the pole sitter, Rain F1. You know, I want to really call him Rain F1 Opinion just because I'm so used to calling him Bad F1 Opinion. You know, yeah, I get it. You know, a lot of people have 1 in their name. They really do like F1. With that being said, though, Rain F1, to finish that right there. Rain F1 of the Mercedes. As a reserve driver, I'm going to assume right here, since they're both full-time Mercedes drivers are not here, he got on pole in that wet session. And the thing is, he's got to convert this all the way to the dry. You know, I have seen his pace before, and he does have the pace to do that. But he's got to keep it consistent in order to win these Tier 1 races. Jab's been able to do that and keep it consistent throughout the whole time to win these Tier 1 races. Rain F1, if he wants to do that today, he's got to keep it consistent. And I'm going to go with Nossman, the Tier 2 driver, and down to 9th. Can he improve on his starting position? I think so. You know, in the Tier 2 race for me, it was just survival, stay out of trouble, and get a good result. And the only, besides the 3 championship contenders, the only one who beat me, it was a driver in a Ferrari. It was Alistair. So, Nossman, if he keeps his car out of trouble, as we've seen, that's very possible to do in these Tier 1 races. If you just find the right holes, then he'll be able to get a good result and improving his position. He's not a full-time Tier 1 driver, so we'll see what he can do. And I'm going to go with the reserve driver, TTM Rossi, in 8th. You know, in one of his last reserve appearances, I think he got a podium in Japan, so we'll see what he can do. Thrasher, quickly, 3.
Well, thank you for leaving me only a sector. I'm going to go P4, bad F1 opinion. The only F1 with opinion in his tag.
You bully.
The only driver on the mediums. I think this could be a very, very bold call by a bad F1 opinion, but if anybody can make bold decisions work, it is bad F1 opinion. Again, P6, Jab, of course, championship leader. Absolutely have dominated the season so far. Did not get the qualifying that he wanted. It'll be fun to see how he moves up. And I'm gonna go Black Raw in P10. Black Raw continues to show pace every week. I think he's going to continue to show more pace here today and bring home a really good points finish.
Well, one thing I will say, though, is we chose 6 out of the 13 drivers. And if there's anyone we're running in a curse, it might be those guys. Who knows? We'll have to find out how this goes, because the thing is, I think it's starting to rain. I see some raindrops on the halos. I thought I saw some. Yeah, so it is starting to rain. We mentioned that the possible rain is going to come. I mean, Rain F1, who was getting that pole in the rain, can he convert it in these rain conditions? That will happen soon. Here we come for the 5 red lights at Belgium. It's lights out, and away we go. Rain F1 got a good start, and he's able to keep C. Bowers next to him, but he's got to beat him in the braking zone. Not run wide, but he's ran wide in turn 1. C. Bowers is taking the lead, and now side by side with Turner for 2nd place as Jabs got up to 4th, ahead of Ben F1 opinion. Now side by side to a Rouge between the Mercedes and McLaren. The McLaren's got ahead. Turner keeps ahead, and now down the Camel Straight for the first time, but here comes Rain F1 in the slipstream, and now down to Sector 2. In the slipstream, not able to make a move right there. Jab is also getting challenged, and Ben F1 opinion loses the rear and has to go off the track. Oh, but the Mercedes of Jack has to cut the corner, and at the back, that's Brute who goes off. Oh, now they're 3 wide. 3 wide is not going to work into a corner like that, which has allowed TTM Rossi and the Red Bull to get ahead of his teammate after a bit of contact. And I think Brute probably had the worst lap one so far.
Yeah, the horrible luck continues for Mr. Burger.
Well, here we go.
Rev Caterpillar gets to move on. Nossman.
That is for 7th place in this race, the Rev Caterpillar. And the Red Bull gets ahead of Nossman, the Tier 2 driver. And what I do want to say about that start, though, is if anybody was going to gain positions, you just knew it was going to be Jab and the McLaren boys. 2 positions for Jab, 1 for Turner. And for the rest of the field, 2 for Rossi. And at the back, that's Squire and Louis going side by side through a section of the track. You wouldn't expect people to do so and have the balls to do so. But Louis has stayed ahead and got ahead right there. That is 11th place as C. Bowers is going to lead the first lap after an amazing start from him. He was able to break Rain at turn 1.
Ooh, really close. Rain almost ran to the back of Turner there in the turn 1. But now down, or not down, but up Rouge.
And then we go down the Camel Straight. All drivers looking to get in the slipstream as they know that'll be a powerful thing for them to contend with the other drivers in this race and be able to make positions. Nossman is someone who's going to be able to try to make positions with that slipstream said as Rev Caterpillar breaks and goes a little bit wide in entry at the start of Sector 2. But he keeps Nossman behind, though, for the time being, while he's got the train with Black Raw and Bet F1 opinion in this as well. And about a F1 opinion, you know, he started on the mediums. He didn't have the best of starts, and then he got overtaken in this section of the track where he was trying to go side by side, but got forced out wide. And speaking of getting forced out wide, Black Draw got forced out wide there, and he is somehow able to get ahead of Nossman, the Tier 2 driver, after a little bit of contact right there.
And definitely it looked like Black Draw was just trying to get past, and Nossman wanted a battle, which, you know, no harm done. Just a little bit of contact, but now Nossman gets passed by both F1 opinion,
He might have
bad
damage.
F1 opinion, and
He looks like he's struggling, Nossman, in this section. If he does, it's not visible to us because it's probably lime green or yellow. But yeah, it's not visible to us. We can't see any damage. But what I will say, though, with Nossman, though, is he gave a good fight there and was able to fight back. Speaking of good fights, it's going to be the drivers versus the rain. And the 4 drivers at the front as Turner sets the fastest lap as Seabowers is still holding on to this race lead as DRS will be enabled this lap. We have a yellow flag at the back. That's Squire, who's been spun around at the exit of the bus stop chicane. He will end up going to last. He won't lose too many positions from that. But here we go, Upper Rouge. Radion now, overtake button being used by Seabowers, which is a bold move, especially considering it's raining. He clips the grass, and he's now got in his sights Turner behind, DRS, overtake, and that slipstream that will play a huge factor in this race to the outside now, and cannot make the move right there.
very good defending there from Seabowers. Clean as could be, which earns a lot of respect here in this league, but rain all over the back of Turner as well. Oh, rain got on that curve a little bit too much, but was able to not spin the car.
You and Rain have something in opinion, or something in common here. What I want to say about that is you guys will be able to know when the weather will ease up or dry off, and we'll be able to die down, I should say, and we'll see what is able to happen here in this next couple of laps because the rain is starting to pick up slightly. But the thing is, it's definitely not a wet enough track for inters. And we saw the same thing in Tier 3 where almost the whole field, except for 4 drivers, chose to go to dry tires when the track wasn't dry enough. And those 4 drivers ended up having some sort of advantage in that section of the race. Ooh, bus stop chicane. Here's Rain. Missing the braking point. Has to move out to avoid hitting the back of Turner right there. But here he comes in a great run, and he's lost it. He's lost it and got damage while he's past the pit lane. And that is going to be another struggle for Rain while it continues to rain.
That's another spot for Jab.
3 he's gained at the start of this race. Seabowers goes wide at a Rouge, though, just a little bit. And getting a better run is Turner. Here he comes. Overtake DRS and the slipstream, which is still powerful. Look at how much he's gained down that straight. Turner takes the lead of this race. Rossi's also gained in the Mercedes as well. He's got by for 5th place in this race. While Rev Caterpillar is also looking to make a move behind that as well. Jack is challenging back, but cannot make a move. Now Rev Caterpillar down the inside in the braking zone. He's going from a long way back, but braking. Oh, we have cars losing the rear. And now that's out of the race. That's Squire. And he might bring out the safety car. I don't think so as at the time.
Looks like it's off track. I can't tell.
Oh, with damaged Rain has to get out of the way. Here's Rev Caterpillar now, also getting the move on for 4th place. But yeah, no, what I meant to say there with the Red Bulls is oh wait, we have Black Raw trying to get by. Now what I meant to say though with the Red Bulls there is that Rev Caterpillar made a move that was a dive bomb, but it was a fair dive bomb, and switching back was the Mercedes. And he got the spot for the time being, but he couldn't hold on to it. So that's just a part of it, and just a part of it is Jab.
Black Raw.
Oh, yep, you're right. We have a move into the bus stop chicane once again. It's the Alfa Romeo around the outside of the Mercedes, looking for a move. He's got DRS while he's able to manage that move, and he's going to have DRS on the cars in front while Jack wasn't able to do that. We have cars pitting. That's Rain, F1, the first driver. I don't think he'll go to inners, but he's definitely changing the front wing. No, he is going to inners. You're right. Well, now Seabowers has a chance once again to possibly re-overtake Turner, and the track is starting to get more wet to the point where it may be time for those intermediates. So his Rain F1 saw something that the rest of us have not.
I think it's too early.
I think it's just the perfect time. Track's been wet enough in this section of the track at least, so it is time. For me, at least in my opinion. Both Red Bulls have swapped positions, and that's allowed Rev Caterpillar to go up to 4th place in this battle between these two to catch the leaders. 6 seconds is that gap, and this could definitely play the difference depending on if anybody chooses to pit this lap. Look at the gap with Rain F1 here. 15.2. It was 15.1, so he's not losing out to the extent that you think he would. Now he's gaining it back. So an important battle at the front of this field, if these drivers do come in this time, is Williams versus McLaren. Now, at a track like Britain, which has a 27-second long pit lane, which we saw a couple weeks ago, you were able to conserve 35% of your ERS. These guys at the front two will have to have a lot of ERS be conserved here in order to still have a chance now. Now, not pitting is everybody in the top two except for Jab, who was 3rd in this race. He's noticed the track is wet enough, and he will take this advantage to pit, and so will Rev Caterpillar. Black Rock, Jack.
Bowers, he just lost. He had wing damage. He ran to the back of turn on turn 1, and I saw the end plate fly off.
You're right on the left side, and that's going to be challenging to go up a Rouge this time. Rossi picks up a 3-second time penalty. Oh, wow. Inners for everybody. They've noticed the track is wet enough, but how will... See, Bowers has to let off there. He doesn't want to make the move. Oh, he also has damage, and he has to go wide there at the start of Sector 2. And this has definitely hurt his chances. Look, I'm going to pay attention here to the gap between the leader with Jab 18.8 right now as we are in Sector 2. Start of Sector 2 for Jab now. 18.8, 18.7. The gap is gaining, and you could just tell it was enough for Inners, Thrasher. And you just know at this point of the race, the gap is only going to increase. Yep, DRS disabled, so now you know. Now you know that you have to pit here. Top 4 have to pit. 18.5. And that gap is just going to continue to gain. Rain F1 is a penalty. So with the damage that C. Bowers has, I'm wondering, is Rev Caterpillar gonna come out now in front of him for this podium spot?
Could be a possibility.
It's definitely not out of the question because I've seen a lot of crazier things happen. Maybe yellow flag. That
Mercedes
Rain.
Jack Mac, I think. Or
Rain.
Was it Rain?
It's Rain, and he's out of this race. He's retired on track. Oh! Big crash! That's Nasser Louis out of the race, and that might bring out the safety car. Yes, it has. That is a horrible accident there in Sector 2, and this is why you don't retire on track. Turner has been helped by this safety car.
Wow.
Unbelievable crash there. That is a bad accident. And in real life, that would lead to a red flag. But in this game, you don't have a red flag, so...
Oh, it's gonna be
for the lead! Jab has got the lead. Just barely over Turner. But I think Jab has to... Jab is trying to maybe let him overtake because he realized out of the pit lane exit that maybe Jab was not ahead. Jab might realize that he was not the one ahead, thinking maybe I illegally overtook Turner. Maybe the game thought he illegally overtook Turner because we've seen this situation happen before. Real life last week at Jeddah. Sainz and Perez. Perfect example. But that is a bad, bad accident, which has left now 10 runners left in this race.
I didn't even see it.
That was a bad accident. Well, that is just definitely disappointed for Louis, who had his race compromised at the start and didn't even get to set a lap in qualifying. And, you know, could have had a chance for a good points finish today, which I remember the last time he scored points, if I believe is correct, was back at Portugal at the start of the season. And that's not a good thing to have a driver retire on track and then have a big crash right there. That's not a good thing. And, you know, I mean, we've mentioned in this league so many times, Thrasher, so many times. I mean, so many times now. Too many times to count. I can't even count on both fingers. Don't retire on track. This is what it causes. And we've seen again, this is what the outcome ends up being. We were on board. At least I was on stream with Rain when he decided to retire on track. And that's caused a terminal retirement from another driver with Louis.
Yeah,
you gotta feel bad. You gotta feel
bad by the stewards.
You've gotta feel bad though, because, you know, I mean, you're just back there, not having a good race, minding your business, and then you have a driver retire on track, and then you're out of the race.
Yeah, Louis.
This early.
Louis could. There was nothing Louis could do.
No, you couldn't even avoid it.
Bad for Louis, and the stewards will definitely look at that, and possibly a penalty for Rain.
I think most definitely a penalty if Louis decides to report that, and he has every right to do so. With that being said, we have 10 runners left in this race. And with that being said, one of them has a penalty, one of them's pitting. Brute is the one pitting. And I now start to question, is this going to be a full inter-race now?
What is he pitting for?
Or maybe, no, maybe not damage, I'm not sure. But is this going to be a race where it is inters for the rest of the way, or does this turn into full wets at some point? At any course of the next 11, 12, 13, 14 laps.
Well, we saw in Tier 2 earlier today that there was a point in the race where some people went to the wet, some people stayed on the inners. Could we possibly see another moment like that? And it all comes down to what gamble are you going to take?
I also wouldn't put out of the question, too, that both McLarens are at the front, and I know Turner's been a really good teammate to Jab at the start of the season, and during the season, throughout the last couple weeks, even when he's not had the pace, he's been up there and helping Jab when the opportunity is given. And what I question here is, Rev Caterpillar, we've seen him in the these wet conditions. He's been a good driver, and he's been up at the front. He's been able to contend for these races, and he was contending with Jab last week. So going to be able to repeat that this week. We'll have to find out. Safety car should be in this lap, though.
Yeah, real quick, I'm going to let you take over. I have to go do something very quickly. I'll be back in like 2 minutes.
Alright, so with that being said, I do expect the safety car to come in this time. Now, is it going to call late? Is it not? We'll have to find out in the next couple seconds. Since Thrasher has to do something, I'm going to have to grab another water very, very quickly. With that being said, we're going to focus on Jeb at the front of the field and how he controls the pace of the possible restart. And yeah, safety car is in this lap. I'm going to quickly be right back. So Jab still leads this Grand Prix ahead of Turner and the Rev Caterpillar. That's the podium right now, but Jab is the one in control of this restart. 10 runners still left in this race, and still not even halfway yet. We'll find out how Jab is able to control this restart. Here he goes about now, and he's on the gas ahead of his teammate before the bus stop chicane. 7/10 ahead already. He's got to be able to control that gap as he enters turn 1 this time to the start-finish line. 3 minutes under that full safety car. Under that lap. Jab leads the way, ahead of Turner, Rev Caterpillar, and then behind that is everybody else trying to challenge for a podium or a possible chance at what could be a race win if anything happens. We've seen these conditions be treacherous before, and you just have to take advantage of it. But here we go, Perouge for the first time since the restart. Jab to Turner to Rev Caterpillar. But does anybody decide that they want to be bold and make some moves? I mean, it is much harder to overtake in the rain, so you're not going to see as much overtakes, but we'll find out. The first and closest battle on this track is for 4th place. Black Raw didn't get off to a good restart. He's now second back to the podium. And that's allowed C. Bowers to catch up, and he's only 2-3 tenths back. So he is closing that gap just ever so slightly now as we reach sector 2, the middle part of it. Behind that, it's Bad F1 Opinion, Jack, and then Nossman, who's about 1.3 behind in this battle with Rossi and Brute Gorgon, which is for the last couple points paying positions. Rossi has a penalty in this race, and he got the penalty for corner cutting, so he's the only one with the track limit penalties. Everyone else is completely clean unless they have warnings. Nossman goes a bit wide and loses it, and he's out of the race! That's the second Ferrari now out of the Grand Prix! Oh, man. That will not bring out a safety car, though, considering this was the first lap since the restart, so I doubt it would bring out a safety car. It's definitely not going to, considering we've not seen one be brought up by the race director in the last 10 seconds. But here goes Brute Gorgon looking for a move down the inside. Goes a bit deep on the brakes, but he's able to complete the overtake. And now he's ahead of Rossi for 8th place. That was one of Brute's better moves. Good for him. So now he's got by Rossi to be able to challenge and go catch and hunt down the top 4, or well, for 4th place, because there's that big train with C. Bowers, Bad F1 Opinion, Black Raw, and C. Bowers has got to run on Black Raw. Here he goes down the Kemmel Straight with overtake engaged. Rossi's picked up another penalty. That's for 9th place, so his chance of making moves are not going to be well. There's a bit of contact. And Black Raw is going to hold the position for now for 4th place. And his chance to hunt down Rev Caterpillar is getting much, much harder, considering C. Bowers is giving him more of a fight each and every lap since the restart. Everybody all within a second of each other, except for a couple cars on the racetrack. Obviously, that will not play a factor with DRS, but the thing is, you will have some slipstream to play with, though, at that point. And that is the most chance for we have right now at an overtake. The front 3 still stay content with where they're at. They're all within a second of each other, but not much has changed toward them. Nossman, it's an end to his race. It's an end to Ferrari's race as a team. They're out of this race, 10th and 11th only for them, so they'll only score 1 point out of today. That's... Oh, Brute Gorgon is out! And that is gonna be another safety car to this race. Now we are left down to 8 finishers, 5 retirements in this race. And that is really unfortunate to what could have been probably 7th, 8th, depending on what happens. 2 cars are pitting. That's C. Bowers and Bad F1 Opinions. Bad F1 Opinion, I think, has rammed C. Bowers at the pit lane, which might have got him some damage there. And it could bring out a 5-second penalty for... Yup, Bad F1 Opinion does have damage. Now they see that it is time for the wets, though. Rossi pits to change tires. Change the compound. Bad F1 Opinion changes tires. C. Bowers goes to inner. So I'm assuming C. Bowers wanted to fix some front wing damage, though, considering he just pitted for inters, since he would be able to make it the rest of the race if he stayed on the same tire. So I'm assuming that's a bit of change for damage. Rossi is pitted to change tires onto the wets. Same with Bad F1 Opinion. And the thing is, I do notice that it is enough for the wet tire, but the thing is it going to stay that way, though, for the rest of the race? Is it going to stay advantage of the wet tire? I'm going to watch Rossi under safety car to see what difference he's able to make here. And even catching up to the pack. He's not catching up much to C. Bowers here. I don't know how much C. Bowers is pushing, though. So that is something... I mean... It's hard to tell under a safety car how much these guys are pushing in order to catch up to the back to the field. And how much of a difference their tire gap plays here. But either way, these guys are 7th and 8th, so why not try something? Why not try something different to get themselves back in contention? They're going to score points anyway, no matter what happens. So,
What happened? What did
yeah.
I miss?
Nossman wrecked out of the race on his own. Brute wrecked out of the race as well. And we have eight finishers right now. We're halfway. Well, your teammate there in Tier 4 Thrasher called Rossi is spun under the safety car under the wet tires, and he might be thinking at a possible compound change after that one. No,
What was
with
my tier form?
your Tier 4 teammate, Fiery, had said, he said, no way, Brute's getting points, or at least finishing, and he was right about that one. He did make a good overtake though into the bus stop chicane, so at least you can be proud of him for that.
Who was the one? Who was the
It was on
overtake?
Rossi.
That doesn't count. No offense, Rossi. Still
Well,
love you for playing Clash of Clans.
Jack is pitting, so is Bad F1 Opinions, and Rossi stays out. So, is Jack going to be pitting for wets or inners? He goes to inners. So nothing changed there. Bad F1 Opinions is changing back to the inners. So they've realized that inners are going to be the way to go.
Why is Rossi on the wets?
They think the rain has picked up.
Well, I can tell you it's definitely not. Look at him.
Hey, I mean, if I'm sitting 8th in this race, like Rossi was a moment ago, I would go with anything to possibly, you know, gamble. Because some of these guys who don't have a chance right now, they're going to need to gamble. With that being said, Bad F1 Opinion tried to gamble. He's now back on the inners. Jack had to pit again. He's now in fresher inners. And Seabauer's pitted on fresher inners now. And to answer your question about the retirement on Track Thrasher, it's an auto race ban regardless.
Yeah, I figured. I had to go help my brother do something real quick, and then
No worries.
I was gonna grab a drink, but when I wanted to drink, we don't have any more of, so.
And that's the second time now. I think Rossi has spun under the safety car, and he's cost himself 2 positions from the matter, which has put him back down to 8th, where he originally was right before the safety car came out. So it should be in this time. Jab and Turner still 1-2. Rev Caterpillar's 3rd. Black Raw is 4th. Nothing has changed there. But what has changed behind them is Seabauer's pitting for fresher inners. Same with Jack and same with Bad F1 Opinion. Rossi on the wets. Thrasher, we'll have you lead him away with the safety car coming in this lap. Jab is leader though. Turner 2nd.
Alright. So, Jab now currently leading the final 8 drivers left remaining with the race. Would be 10 laps to go when they hit the line. Nice little 10-lap stretch here. Jab, Turner, Caterpillar, Black Draw. Top 4, Bowers, Jack, Bad F1 Opinion, all on fresh inners, and Rossi on the wets. Jab really back up the field here. Well, wait. When does the championship leader decide to go? Really warming up them tires. Goes now. Now into the bus stop chicane. Out of the final corner. And there he goes. Away we go. A great restart from Jab. She's going to pretty much pull a gap out. No moves, it looks like. No moves in turn 1, so pretty clean start here for top 8. Well, the only I should say.
Well, I will say something that I noticed during the dry period is Jeb was able to save his overtake. And I mean, you don't really have to save it that much in these conditions considering you don't burn off as much ERS as you would before. But his teammate, though, is in the slipstream, has definitely got a little bit more wing than him on the straights. You could see how much he's gaining. Up to 4/10, 3/10. He's definitely not close enough for an overtake. But it's worth noting that his teammate has more pace in the straights. And if he gets close enough for an overtake, you know Turner would go for it.
Yeah, agreed. Something else looked at, Bad F1 Opinion picks up a 3-second time penalty. See, Bowers on the fresh inners almost runs into the back of Black Draw there. But now the top 3 is pulled away from Black Draw.
Yeah, and on the wets, Rossi's overtaken Battlefront Opinion, but he's not gaining that much
Got a
pace,
flag,
and
it's
there's
Battlefront
your
Opinion.
next retirement. He's out of the race. Well, now, as I spoke about Turner gaining on Jab, he's now a second back, and Rev Caterpillar has been put into this mix for second place to possibly split the McLarens at the state of the race. I mean, if he lucks up like that, he's not going to be able to split the McLarens. But with that being said, though, Black Draw is still close, C. Bowers is still close, and Jack was within a second for the time being, but he's got without it now. So any chance that these guys have of a slip-up, they will take advantage of. And with that being said, look at the straight line speed that Turner has compared to Jab.
Battlefront Opinion now out of the race, leaves 7 drivers remaining. Surprisingly, TTM Rossi is still in the wets.
And I don't think it was a bad call because he doesn't have bad pace, but it's just inconsistency right now from him is what's costing him. And with that being said, Black Draw is still having to defend from C. Bowers. This is the second time, and we have a crash! That's Rev Caterpillar out of the race! And that brings out yet another safety car, and we're down to 6 finishers. Oh, no.
Oh my God.
Now, this is promoted Black Draw to the podium.
That's
Well, I will say this, and I think it's a fair point to make. I know a lot of the drivers who are not racing aren't here because they'd like to wake up early for the Belgian Grand, or not the Belgian Grand Prix, the Australian Grand Prix for tomorrow morning, and that's probably why they've missed the Belgian Grand Prix. But the thing here is that though, is the percentage of retirements is still not good, and you can agree from an admin point of view though, Thrasher, it's still not good. 6 finishers right now. It's not what I would have expected with 13 cars in this race. I really wouldn't have expected that.
no, but I don't mean to throw Tier 1 under the bus, but I mean, this is starting to become a regular thing.
It really is, and it's sad. I mentioned it to Alicio, how, you know, I mean, he mentioned it to me too, how Mexico last season was horrible for people to watch or for people to commentate. I sadly watched that, and we're gonna have constant repeats of that if the amount of people keep retiring that they do, let alone retiring on track. And your race leader is pitting. So is Black Raw.
Wish I understood, but
I wish I understood why they're pitting though.
well, I'll tell you what. What helps them is only 2 stayed out. So
Yeah.
oh, Jab's going to the wets.
Oh, is this a change in tires for everybody? C. Bowers to the wets. Or Black Raw, that is. C. Bowers to the wets as well. And Rossi is back to the intermediates. The rain is starting to pick up a ton. But the thing is, the track is not as wet as people may be anticipating it to be. And why I say that is because usually you'd see the track much more wetter in these full wet conditions, and full wet conditions for full wet tires. So, I'm not fully sure on the strategy call, unless this is what it's meant to do. This could play a difference. And,
Yeah, and back
yeah.
to my point about the drivers in Tier 1. We had 10 finishers out of 18 at race 1, 10 finishers out of 19 in race 2.
Do this.
Race 10 racers, 10 out of 20 in race 3. Race 4, we had 12 drivers out of 20. Race 5, we had 11 drivers out of 20. Race 6, out of 17 drivers, we only had 8. And race 7, we had 10 drivers out of 20. Race 8, we had 7 out of 20. That was last week. So last week, we only had 7 finishers out of 20 drivers who started.
Honestly, it's becoming a joke at this point, and it's really actually becoming embarrassing. As a commentator and as someone who used to be an admin in this league, I'm kind of sad about it. Just because it's not something that I'd expect to see throughout time. And, you know, I'm sure there's a lot of things from me that I want to say that are definitely better, that are better left unsaid. But one thing I will say out of this, though, is it's becoming a regular thing, and there's gonna be races like this all the time. You know, Tier 1 is meant to be the best tier, meant to be the tier with best quality. Right now it's not, and that's not good. That's not what we need. So right now, since the safety car is not coming in, unless it's gonna be a late one, I'm adding up the amount of finishers compared to the amount of people who started the race. And Thrasher, you're gonna help me out by remembering numbers, okay? So, you mentioned 7 there. 8 races so far, okay. Please remember the number, Thrasher. 78.
78. Okay.
Remember that. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, 20. I'm gonna prove some stats here on stream to these tier 1 drivers, let alone admins who need to pay attention to numbers like these, because this is not good. And look, this is not me saying by admins who need to pay attention. That's not me saying admins are doing enough. The point, they are. But the point is there's people who need to pay attention to this and say something about it to an extent where this is just becoming unacceptable. So I said 78, right? That was the number I said?
Mm-hmm.
Alright. Wow. Wow. So I've just done some math. And with that being said, in the tier 1 races, Thrasher, do you want to know the amount of percentage of drivers who finish the race?
Mm-hmm.
Excluding this race, 51% of drivers have finished the races. That's only half.
Jesus.
That's only half. Now, if you put this race together, that number's going to go slightly down. Come on. This is not last man standing, as some people are talking about now. It really, from a commentator's perspective, from a previous admin's perspective, from someone who wants to see this league succeed, from being here in Season 1...
Succeed!
Yeah. I don't want to see that, seriously. I mean, some people need to get their shit together. And, you know, if it comes to a point where you need to recruit drivers who actually finish the race for Tier 1, or simply have a Tier 4 driver in Tier 1 who actually just finished for the sake of it, hey, fine by me. But it's not my decision. Not something I got a word on. But I am a commentator of the tier and someone who will influence a decision if need be, or influence an idea. So I will make sure to mention it. But before the safety car comes in to the pit lane, Thrasher, why don't you mention SilentX Designs, as that's a great time to mention SilentX Energy and SilentX Designs.
Yeah. So, SilentXEnergy.com has SilentX Energy drinks, which are a healthier version of G Fuel. They've also got some GSR merchandise up. We've got phone cases, we've got caps, we've got beanies, we've got hoodies, we've got t-shirts. We might have some upcoming stuff in the future, but that's what we have currently. So again, go to SilentXEnergy.com to help support GSR. And we are away on this race to restart.
Turner has got an enormous lead, and look at the chicane right here. There's some overtakes being made before the start-finish line. Black's Raw has overtaken the Mercedes before the start-finish line. Now C. Powers is starting out. He's got the place for 4th, and he's able to get ahead of the Inter runner. Now, the Inter runner who's leading this race is pulling away, but that gap is starting to close down. We have another retirement. That's Rossi out of the race. Both Red Bulls, both Aston Martins, both Ferraris are all out of this race. You know, I'll be honest. Usually when the quality of the racing is better, I end up commentating better. But when the quality of the racing is 5 finishers, I'm not able to commentate that great, so I do apologize in advance. Try my best, but that's all you could ask for. With that being said, the drivers at the front are trying their best. with Turner trying to hold on the intermediate tires ahead of Jab. I mean, he might not have the pace to do it, but if he can defend, I'm sure he might be able to do it. And you are up against Jab, so that is a tough task.
I would like to say hats off to the 5 remaining drivers. But yeah,
oh,
they just jinxed it.
Oh, nope, that's okay. Turner, who's lost it from the lead and down to 4th.
Okay, he didn't wreck out. I'm just gonna say I may have just jinxed it.
Oh my God. You know what? I don't really. I think it's fair to say, Thrasher. I'm only gonna give a post-race interview just to the winner at this point, just because the fact is that I just want to get this over with. I'm gonna do the top 3. Yeah, you could do the top 3, but I'm only gonna talk to the winner because I just want to get this over with. This is a bit ridiculous that there's only 5 finishers in my opinion.
No, I absolutely agree. But
I want to get this over with. I agree. I know. I agree with that. I'm gonna talk to the winner. You could talk to the rest of them. That's what I'm saying. You can. I'll talk to Jab or whoever wins this race. And maybe I jinx him. We'll find out. But we have 5 laps left in this race, and Jab has got a 2nd lead, and he's the only one with the biggest gap at this point in this race. And these guys at the front of the field, in the top 3, are all in wets, which are right now the preferred tires. You could tell because Turner lost it from the lead at Puan, and his chances are winning and probably over. But he still may have a chance for a podium. You never know what could happen.
Battle for 2nd.
Well, here comes Steve Bowers with the overtake button engaged. He might be able to contend for Jab, but Black Raw right now is the one interfering in the way. Here he goes. I can't make the move. Black Raw still stays ahead. And he is slightly gaining on Jab too. If Black Raw somehow wins this race, out of everything that's happened, that is unbelievable. I don't know if it will happen, but he's in contention to catch Jab right now.
I mean, honestly, if he somehow catches Jab and wins this race, I mean, hats off to
Hats off. But I will say he has been a top 5 car all race.
Oh,
considering
no
there's 13 people, considering there's 13 people, it's not hard to be a top 5 car. But considering you're up against the people in this race, I mean, that's a fair point.
Yeah.
It's been up there, so gotta give him credit for that.
The 5 remaining has been running top 5 pretty much all race. So.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would very well agree with that. It's, well, I mean, I see a couple of comments in the chat with it being said, you know, I'll just, since there's no, oh, well, there might be a battle here. Intermediates might be the better conditions as the rain is starting to die down. Turner might be able to gain back what he lost right there, and maybe might be able to take a 1-2 out of this, depending on what goes on. He's right in the back of C. Bowers, while C. Bowers is right in the back of Black Rose. Spun out! The commentator's curse just became effective once again, and it's allowed Turner to take back that podium. Once Turner takes his position, or once he gets in a battle of the position and the battle is clear on who gets it, I will mention some of the comments made in the chat because I do want to mention about that. Turner has got better ERS, got the overtake button engaged. Both of them do. The slipstream is the only thing that's helping him gain right now, especially the percentage of the battery too. Now we have Bowers moving under braking just a little bit just to keep the position, and he's kept it for the time being. But the inners are something I'm looking forward to here because advantage will definitely go to inners with the conditions right now. Rain has died down, so it may be a battle at the end of this race between Turner and Jab. And you guys mentioned, you know, I mean, oh, you know, Tier 1, not good attendance and stuff like that. Now, something I will focus on is there is an off week next week for Easter, is the week after. That will be the pure way of telling the next direction of everything here. And look, I mean, I share my personal opinions as a commentator. I don't always like to do it, but some people may agree, some people may disagree. But the thing is here, is admins are trying to, I mean, you could speak for admins, Thrasher. Admins are trying to do what they can here. There's not a whole lot they can fully do. You know, if people don't want to turn up, they don't want to turn up. But it comes to a point where recruiting will have to be another option for next season and now. But right now, this battle for second place, contacted around! And he's got damage. Turner is somehow still left in this race. If he does have damage, it's not a whole lot, but he's gonna have to pit. Yes, he will. It is a whole lot. Nothing visible to us, again, which is a problem and a glitch from this game, which I hate to see. It's not visible to us. We can't see that. 4/10 now, the gap between the Mercedes driver and the Williams driver. Jack on the inners, Bowers in the wets. Battle's still on. Black Raw is pitting. And if any of these top 3 crash, hey, battle on for people in the pits. No, but regarding the, I mean, you know, you can speak for the admins, Thrasher, because you're an admin yourself. You know what goes on. The admins are doing what they can, and I think for them, you know, there is not a whole lot they can do, just because if people don't want to turn up, they don't want to turn up. But
I mean,
recruiting that you guys have tried to recruit, I've spoke to a couple of the admins. You guys have tried, but it does become to a point where you guys have to maybe go a little bit further with recruiting. And a couple other things too. When it comes to next season, though, if there's the same level of attendance by the end of the season, which will determine the next season in F1 2022, if it is that way, which I'm assuming that's when the next season will be, considering the schedule and everything. But with everything being said, I would recommend going down to 3 tiers again. It's my personal opinion, just because the attendance lately has not been great. Now, this weekend is the Australian Grand Prix, and now here's something I don't like. I think one of the Tier 1 drivers asked, can the race be pushed back slightly in order to wake up on time for the Australian Grand Prix and still have a good attendance? I saw that noted and talked about, but I don't ever think anything was ever done about that, or if anything was, it was denied. Black Raw is side by side with Turner now, but we have second place in the race. The Mercedes is still trying to gain on the Williams, and we have the battle that could be for the lead pretty soon, depending on how this goes. There's contact, wheel banging at the final chicane, which has allowed Jack to go back ahead. Now they're side by side at the start-finish line. Wheel to wheel into turn 1. Seabowers on the wets is still trying to defend the position, and he's on the inside. Both make contact. Both are still keeping it side by side, and Jack's got ahead. While that was happening, Black Raw got ahead for 4th place. But no, honestly, my personal opinion again goes back to the fact of, you know, if this will be a thing in the next race, which will be race 10, then you got to bring the level of concern for the amount of tiers into the next season. You know, 4 tiers was a right move considering the drivers that GSR had. But the problem with that being said is that the drivers who will actually show up, you know, tier coordinators have got to keep a track record. And speaking of track record, we've seen the track record of inners being the better tire, and this is going to be Jab defending for his life right here for the win, for the lead. Is he able to do it? Is he able to hold on for these last couple of minutes of this race? Jab has held on and driven beautifully, but the inners have came back and been great. Jab is struggling, though, and is still holding on to this lead. He's not letting the Mercedes driver ahead. Here's one of his opportunities right here. Can't go ahead. Now, the exit of this corner is going to be good. Here he goes, side by side. Oh, can't make the move. Now, C. Bowers is there to pounce in case anything happens. But here's the run for the lead. Jack is side by side into the grass almost. And Jab is still holding on again. Bus stop chicane is the next overtaking opportunity for the Mercedes driver. It almost hits the back of Jab. Cannot make the move. And you see C. Bowers, who I said is still in this battle. He's still there to pounce, just in case anything happens. But the exit of the final corners, reach the final lap, is very important. Here comes Jack to the outside. Jab defending on the inside. Jab's got the preferred line, but forces him out just a little bit wide. There's contact. Jack's got the lead. Can he keep the 9-lap inners better than the 6-lap wets, which the inners are the preferred tire, but does he have too much speed to maybe spin out, to maybe make a mistake? That will be what settles this race win. Here comes C. Bowers now for second place. To the outside in the braking zone. He's out brake Jab. He's still side by side, both them wheel to wheel. This is for second place. Both make contact. Both are out wide just a little bit, but C. Bowers has been able to keep it on the track, and now goes wide with contact with Jab. And that has maybe sealed the deal. Jab has got second place and still held on. But C. Bowers will have maybe one or two more opportunities at a chance at this. Jab lost the rear. It is not enough for C. Bowers just yet. He's got one more opportunity, maybe two with the amount he's gaining right here. He's really pushing it to gain on Jab. 3 seconds the race lead. Jack was the only one to stay content with his strategy. He has stayed out, manages beautifully, and lost it! Around! And out of the race is C. Bowers! Oh no! Jack, who has kept his strategy, he's stayed loyal to the intermediates ever since the last safety car. He's driven beautifully, he's kept it, he's made some overtakes, and he's gonna win again for the first time in Tier 1. He is your race winner at Spa. And the Mercedes are back on top in Tier 1. He wins ahead of Jab, ahead of Black Raw, who takes another podium. Then Turner.
This is absolutely fucking ridiculous from Tier 1. 13 drivers and only 4 finishers. Absolutely fucking...
And I'm sorry for Thrasher's language, by the way. Before you have to say it.
I'm not.
Anybody who's pissed, I'm sorry, but he's got a point. He does have a point. Now, yeah, he's expressing it. That's a bit different. I don't know. Either way, that is the end of the Belgian Grand Prix. Only 4 finishers to this race. I feel like Monaco 1998. This reminds me of with the real life. By the way, I wasn't alive by then, but it reminds me of the amount of finishers, the conditions, and just the way this has gone. Not pretty. And this is not what you want to see for a league that's lasted 8 seasons. Now, my personal opinion before we invite the podium finishers to the party. Look, Tier 1 attendance and finishers have been both ridiculous. I'm looking at the chat, just going through the messages. I saw Davis got timed out from that reason today because I don't know. I feel like the Australian Grand Prix is not much of an excuse, but it still is. With some of these drivers wanting to wake up on time. We'll ask Tier 1 drivers what they think about it, actually. These podium finishers. Well, let's get them all in. Stay finished on the podium. Jack, ahead of Jeb, ahead of Black Raw, ahead of Turner. Those are your finishers. Turner set the fastest lap. Look at the additional bonus point for that. And also, Rain will get the bonus point for pole.
I don't know if Jack's joining. I haven't invited him.
Well, just scrolling through the chat
just
before we get to this.
These two over with, and then if he joins, and we'll do.
Yeah, we'll talk to third place first. Black Raw. Hey, look, there's not much I could really say. I mean, we're just as disappointed as you guys are with the amount of finishers and the amount of attendance. And we do know something more needs to be done about it. But in regards to the race, we're not going to focus on that too much. Regards to the race, how would you describe your race and taking the podium on the last lap? Now, you mentioned lucky at the end of the day, but I want to ask you, even though it wasn't one of those Tier 1 races you would necessarily expect with the amount of people you're racing around, you had less people to race around. I've got to ask, with that being said, how was the conditions out there? How was the driving out there from your standpoint? Now, my last question before I send this over to GSR Thrasher.
is Tier 1 attendance. You've been one of the people to show up these past couple weeks consistently. You've stayed loyal to the tier. I mean, you've been pretty well with that, and I applaud you for that. I appreciate that, especially as someone who's a commentator, past admin of the league, and someone who wants to see it do well. My question to you now, with that being said, is what needs to be done in order for maybe you to enjoy the races more if you're not enjoying them with the amount of quality or quantity, and what needs to be done just as a whole, in your opinion, as someone who's been in a lot of leagues? Yeah, I agree. I mean, as much as we like, as much as you could agree with me that, it's embarrassing and it's not okay, we can agree that, you need to get the word out there. We need to do this. I think we all need to play a part in something that, will help the league go even further to a point where 4 finishers, 13 attending, that's not happening as much anymore, or at all. We don't want to see a repeat. Because, somebody who knows a repeat of that, from seasons ago would be Jab, and I'll talk to him about that in a minute. But first, I want to ask Thrasher, do you have any questions for Black Draw?
No, I mean, this is congratulations on a podium. This shithole of a race. This is absolutely horrible.
Thrasher, I'll take Jab because I understand you're frustrated. Jab, make sure your audio is included. I want to speak to you about your race. From your standpoint, no Chick-fil-A for you, but I think everybody who finished that race definitely deserves some Chick-fil-A or attended and has stayed loyal to this tier. My question for you now, Jab, is you lost the win in the last couple laps. How much did you have to defend in those last couple laps, though? Because I know you weren't the faster laps, which we aren't used to, but you were able to defend for as long as you were. Explain to me what the defending was like and what you had to do in order to keep second, too.
Trying to make my car as wide as possible. Was literally not trying to let him get a switch back. Just trying everything I can, going slower in through corners, trying to like back him up. Not really trying to like push real hard. I was having trouble with the brakes. I kept going deep until the final. But just had to make my car as wide as possible. Eventually, he got around me. Nothing I really could do. Got better traction. Basically, was it.
My last question is, you still lead the championship after this, when we knew that was going to happen. But your teammate had helped you a lot out today. He finished 4th, and he was up there for a majority of it. I mean, I think if you look back at running order from the race and you look at where he was, he was content with you just, with being 1-2, and there were times where I thought he may be able to overtake you, and his straight line speed was really good. What do you think of McLaren's performance as a team and as a whole today to help the combined constructors, and you win the championship compared to the past couple weeks?
Well, we're both up there for one, and we're both helping each other, trying to be more consistent. If I don't know what happened to him in those last couple laps, but I was gonna try to block for him, try to get him the win, But then I don't know what happened there. But yeah. But if we can keep this up, working together, then we can easily take combined constructors, and this drivers' championship.
Hey, I'm a Mercedes man. I'm trying to beat you guys. So I do have to applaud the good performances from you guys. So you guys did really well. With that being said, my last question relates to attendance, and I asked Peggy the same question. Look, when it comes to attendance, it's not been great. You're a tier 1 driver leading the championship, and I know it hurts with how much attendance and how much finishers there are with probably the way you're leading the championship. I know you're somebody who will look at it as maybe, hey, it's a championship is a championship, whether it's a Mickey or not, whatever it may be. But the point I make here is that it probably starts to frustrate you with enjoying this league with the amount of finishers as of recent. And with that being said, and attendance too. With that being said, your first win, if you remember, in GSR, all the way back in season 1, and your only win of this season 2, was back in Monaco, a race where only 2 or 3 people finished, in a race where there was 10 or 11 attending. With that being said, GSR has changed throughout time. You've been a part of it. You've been a part of seasons that were good, seasons that were bad, seasons with different league owners, from Eden to Axe, and now to Aid and Finn and whoever, and Tom Katori. With that being said, Jab, you've been around a while in this league, and you can vouch for anybody else on what the attendance is like. And the attendance before was good. The finishers before was good. What needs to change in your opinion as a driver? And I'm asking this, I'm not only asking this because, hey, it's a big topic. I'm asking this from the driver's point of view because you are the guys driving the car every week in this tier, this tier. So I want to know from you guys what you think. What do you think?
Well, just like Piggy said, we gotta reach out more. Like, we don't know what happened with the attendance. We've been having like some really good drivers join. Cause I remember Speed Demon, he was very quick. You know, we got Bauer. Like, we got some really good people. We even got Finn. We got some fast people. We got the competition, but we just need the attendance.
Loyal. Yeah.
Yeah, we just need to keep the attendance up.
And obviously, that doesn't just go for tier 1, it goes for every tier 2, because even yesterday in like tier 3, like the attendance wasn't bad, but it still wasn't what it was at the start of the season too. I mean, I race in tier 3, so I speak for myself on that, but it goes even worse for tier 1 now than both those tiers. So, but continue, sorry.
Yeah, we just, I don't know if we gotta take some tiers away, or we just gotta go out scouting some more, because at the start of the season, the attendance was great. We gained max grids, you know. We were having reserves waiting to like into the race. Like, they didn't know if they were gonna race or not. Now the last couple of races we've been getting, basically any reserve can race. Basically, we need reserves. So we just need to find more people that are more loyal, get some fast guys in here, and maybe we can turn this league around for next season.
Yeah, definitely. And in regards to my opinion, the only thing that will be the hope for attendance in all the tiers, going out and scouting more, you know. But with my last question before I leave it off to GSR Thrasher, my last question with that being said is, look, although the attendance hasn't been great, the finishers too. I did calculations during the race, and I don't know if anybody of your race engineers have told you, but I calculated during the race, and I said, all right, Thrasher, remember this number. And I said, all right, let me add this up. I calculated throughout the 8 races so far, excluding today, which the number will be even worse today, by the way. Out of the people who finished the races in the first 8 races, which is half the season so far, excluding today, of course, 51% of the people who attended the race finished. What needs to be done about the amount of finishers, too?
People just gotta drive cleaner. Like, some of us are making dumb mistakes. Like, today we saw many just single car spins. Like, you know, the conditions were tough, but maybe people just gotta be a little bit more patient. Like, half the race is going, like, half the race is left, and then you're pushing so hard. There's half a race left. They need to learn to take their time, and don't make a dumb move. Like, there's no point of reason going too wide in a tight space, or we just need to clean up like what we're doing, because the driving has been, like, people have been forcing people off, been pushing people.
Yeah.
So if we can clean that up, maybe we'll get more finishes.
Yeah, I would hope so. And Jack, the race winner, also mentioned something to me in the chat. First time chat from him, by the way. Just to mention it mentions that, so thought I mentioned that. With that being said, though, mentioned attendance is bad in many leagues at the minute, not just you guys. So that's hope, I guess. But the thing is, you want to be at least to the point where it's not where we can't say, oh well, other leagues are, you know, experiencing the same issue, you know, and we are too. We're just the same as other leagues, you know. This league is much different than the way it is. So, you know, I don't know. For me personally, I do think, you know, there maybe can be some stuff done about it. Hey, and I know a lot of fast people. It's just a matter of if they want to race and if they're willing to race. Thing is, we may need to go out there and recruit a bit more. May not. And you know what? If I need to take some time out of my week to do so, and actually I have not this upcoming week, but the next week off from school. Maybe I can help out a little bit with that. I wouldn't mind. So, I mean, whatever works. By the way, congratulations on the second place finish, Jab. Thrasher, do you have any questions?
Oh no.
You know what? I do have one question. Who the hell was your Jeff?
Okay.
I
Alright,
want to know that.
so we had a combination, right?
Oh
So
boy.
I had Owen, Brute, and Davis, right?
Oh
Owen
my
was the
god.
original, but then like he went AFK. So right when we were having that situation with the wets, the intermediates, so I was just trying to get him to like talk, and then he wasn't there. So then, I had to send the Brute and Davis. So they said they were just gonna do the opposite of what I did, so I just boxed. But then I knew it was gonna. By the time I went to the box, Jeff said it's gonna lighten up. So, but then I already lost the position, so I just tried to keep it out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna be completely honest here. Congratulations on your P2, but I mean, this race was just asinine.
So my last thing I want to say, Jab, and it's not a question regarding the race, but everybody who finished, do they get Chick-fil-A since they were a small
No,
percentage of
nobody
people finished,
deserves
or
Chick-fil-A
nobody,
after this.
or nobody? That's the question.
Honestly, I don't think no one in GSR deserves it at this point. Right.
All right.
After
Well,
what we saw last couple
yeah,
weeks.
I understand. Hey, well, I mean, we have so we have tier 4 tomorrow, but after that we have the week break for Easter. And what I want to mention with that being said is that this week break could be a very crucial week break to up the attendance, and hopefully it's put to good use. With that being said, Thrasher, you'll be racing tier 4 tomorrow, I'd assume. So tune into that. 8F1, he'll be commentating. We have an off week, and then after that, it's China. Or no, France. France, then China. So we'll see how that goes. With that being said, we hope things get better. I'm sure they will. There's only hope. That being said, hope you have a good night. Enjoy the Australian Grand Prix tomorrow, or tonight, for people who will stay up at 1 in the morning. And we will see you next time.